Welcome to Ty and That Guy. I'm Wes Chatham, and this is my good pal, my good sun-kissed pal, Ty Franck.
How's it going, man?
That's good.
You seem like you've bounced back. You're fully recovered from your bout of illness.
I think I am. I think I'm fully recovered. My voice isn't 100% back, but I did ADR today on some of the episodes in season 6. And I was like, guys, my voice isn't going to match, what it is there. We got the thing, but it looks fucking good, Ty. I mean, it looks real good.
Yeah, that's what I spend my days doing is VFX reviews and editorial and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm watching those episodes over and over and over again. Yeah, they're getting dialed in.
I feel like we're gonna go out with just punching everybody in the fucking face with this season. It's just it's balls to the wall, man, and I love it. And I think it's this perfect way to go out.
Cool. So I don't know, what are we doing?
Season 2, episode 9.
Oh, is it 9?
Yeah.
Okay. That's right, because this is Weeping Somnambulist, right?
Yeah.
And this one is Halliburton. Hallie Lambert is the writer, and Mikhail Solomon. We got to talk about Mikhail Solomon later.
Let's do it now.
So Mikhail Solomon, the director of this block, was the cinematographer on The Abyss, which, classic James Cameron.
So this is a true story because Chrissy Stills was telling me all the stories about James Cameron. When we go up to Canada to shoot, I have a lot of time because I don't have my family and I'm by myself up there. So I usually will take a director and go back and watch all of his movies and read the books on them and interviews and stuff like that. So I was talking to her. She was telling me about James Cameron. So I started reading this book about James Cameron, and I am not exaggerating, Ty. I was on the part where he was getting to the abyss and talking about the abyss, and Mikhail Solomon was all in this book. They were literally creating, James Cameron was inventing lights that would be able to shoot light in a certain way underwater, creating these things, and he was working closely with the cinematographer. And the cinematographer, like the one that he worked with is Mikhail was like the one guy that didn't quit, the guy that like stuck with it through the whole thing, and it was like how hard it was. And then I was just like, this name keeps sounding familiar, and I was on set, and I had the realization. I remember taking the sides and looking at his name and going like, holy shit, this is... And then I went, and I was like, it just blew my mind that this is, how it happened, and the universe is crazy like that. And I went and was like, is this you? And I said, yeah. And I was like, I'm reading these stories and everything, and then we just sat down, for again, like I do, like I drill him with questions, and he tells all these great stories. And what he decided to do at the end of his episodes is we went to TIFF, and he showed The Abyss and did a Q&A after with our DP, Jeremy.
Yeah, the TIFF is kind of a local art house upscale theater in downtown Toronto, near where Wes and I would both live when we were working. Yeah, we rented out one of the theaters. Probably Manny put that together. Rented out one of the theaters, had Mikhail show The Abyss. He did a little Q&A, and afterwards we had a little party at the restaurant there. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. I like to live at the TIFF. I feel like I have a theater downstairs, and it's this great indie theater. It shows everything you can think of, and I would... Steve and I usually lived at the TIFF, and we would go downstairs and just watch these movies. And you could literally feel like, hey, I got some time. And you would look at the showtime, and you could just go downstairs and do the showtime. But this season, because of COVID, I was living at the TIFF, and I was so excited to get back to the theater. And I get there, and I realized, oh, wait, it's all shut down. It was shut down through the whole thing. Yeah,
so he is the director of this block, which is amazing and gives us that 1 degree of separation from James Cameron. So... we're getting closer, man.
I feel like can we call him our friend now? Might as well, right? Because
I call him Jim.
Yeah, okay, Jim. So we're in the Jim category for sure.
I think we're there.
Yeah, and I know.
Well, at the very least, if you meet him, you'll be able to go, "Hey, I worked with a guy you used to work with," and you have that like conversation started. Right.
So because it gives you something to say before he says "fuck off." Right, so you get like a good 2 second,
you
3 second
that,
window,
and then he's like, "I don't know who you are, please fuck off." But at least you got you got that,
and then you could probably get a follow up before the security gets involved. So Jim is probably a fan of The Expanse, don't you think?
I certainly is.
Yeah.
And
if Jim was a fan of The Expanse, who would you think his favorite character was?
He likes women. I got to think he's like a Bobbie or Naomi fan.
Shit, I think you're right. Wouldn't it be cool if like we saw Frankie in the next Avatar or something like that? You know?
That'd be pretty fucking cool.
And then we would be that much closer to Jim.
But see, with Frankie, I feel comfortable going, hey, Frankie, I see you're going to be in the next Avatar, so I'm just coming to stay with you in New Zealand, and I'm going to hang out with you on set. I would totally do that.
And it would be hard for Cameron to tell us to fuck off if we're standing next to and if we're friendly with an actress that he's working with.
I see that you turned that into we. Like my plan was for me to go, but I see you turned it into we. I'm not sure if she's going to want both of us staying in her trailer.
Ty, this is the thing, right? We're in this together. You always pull yourself ahead. Ty, this is a team, man. We're in this together. We're going to work with James Cameron together. Cut to I'm in a James Cameron movie, and then I see you like, Wes, look, we made it, we're here. And I'm so like, I don't know who the fuck he is.
I don't know that guy. Yeah, security, get that guy out of here.
You said we were together. We said that we were one. Is somnambulist? Is that a name for sleepwalking?
It is. Yeah, it's the word that means sleepwalking. I just really liked that ship name, the Weeping Somnambulist. It's actually taken from the book.
What? Why didn't you just name it a Weeping Sleepwalker?
Because that doesn't sound as cool.
Okay. So Amos and Holden board the Weeping Sleepwalker, and I love the way that this is done, because so much about right or wrong, good and evil is about perspective, right? And so we don't know that Holden and Amos are initially on the ship, and we just see Martians boarding another ship doing their thing, and you automatically have your assumptions of the situation. And you're like, these poor fucking people are getting boarded, they're getting pushed around. And by the way, Holden is not gentle with this lady. He throws her head ricochets off the back of a chair. They can't take the Rosinante to Ganymede. So they need to commandeer a ship and take that ship. That's a fucked up thing to do, whether it's with righteous reasons or not. So they board this ship, and they need this ship as a pass to get to Ganymede to hopefully do something righteous. But ultimately, it's dirty means, and it goes back to the theme of the show and what we were discussing last episode, which we discussed most episodes, and what I think is really separates the Expanse in a lot of ways.
We don't like heroes and villains. We like people who do heroic things. And, of course, some people are going to do things that seem villainous, but we don't like, the guy with the black hat and the guy with the white hat. I don't think it's real. Yeah. I think everybody's forced to compromise. And it's, what we talked about when we were talking to Jason Patrick, that putting people in a situation where they will compromise their morals to achieve their goals is, I think, the most interesting dramatic stuff. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. So now we have the plan. We have the ship. We know that we're going to use that ship to go to Ganymede, and that Alex is going to take the Rosinante and hide behind one of those 22 cute moons. And so we're talking about the plan, but what I love is seeing Prax's point of view, because he's an outsider into our world on the Rosinante. And we sit around that Ladar table and we come up with all these plans all the time. And he's like, wait, that's your fucking plan? That's what you're going to... And then it's kind of like the first realization of us looking at each other. And it's like, yeah, it's not a great plan. And by the way, we don't really ever have good plans. But we're not really aware of it. We think they're fine at the time. He even says, yeah, it's about average. This is about an average outcome of the plan. And seeing Prax's point of view of us there, I thought that was really funny and a nice moment.
Prax is a scientist. He doesn't do anything without very elaborate protocols established ahead of time. So the idea of just kind of like winging it, that's so outside of his experience. But, when you're space adventurers, you're just winging it all the time. I mean, look at Han Solo. He never had a plan.
Right. So Amos levels with Prax and tells him what they're going to do. They're going for the protomolecule. And that's a nice moment. It's a relationship building moment. And I think it's fair. I think from Amos's point of view, he says, this guy is just trying to find his daughter and he's helping us. Why would we keep him in the dark? Why can't he send messages out? What's the point of that?
Yeah.
So he's not a prisoner. And that's kind of the beginning of their relationship, of working together. Well, actually, I think the beginning of the relationship is when Amos says, I heard you're here to find your little girl. And he goes, that's a good reason. So immediately, they're on that level with each other.
Well, it also, that moment sets up something in season 3, because Holden is using Prax. He's just using it. He's using the excuse of his daughter to go down and accomplish the thing he wants to accomplish. But it becomes very clear that the daughter is not the priority. And Amos understands that, and Amos is trying to soften that for Prax, But in season 3, when we get to it, this moment is really important there because Holden has a moment later where he admits to Prax, I wasn't doing this for your daughter. I lied. I used you. And he has a real crisis of conscience there that drives him to do something in season 3 that he probably wouldn't otherwise have done.
Right. So they get to Ganymede, and 2 of these heavies come on the ship, and they're going to rob these people of these health supplies that people need on Ganymede. And Amos and Holden decide to do something about it, and they go back in, and they blast these guys. They walk in and just guns are blazing. In the shootout, quick shout out Peter Williams and Valerie Bolgar. She's the actress and he's the actor in the thing, and they're really great in it. And so he ends up getting shot. And then there's that, they're trying to do the right thing, but they do commandeer the ship. They get down to Ganymede, but they turn around because they're going to help these people. But by helping these people, the husband gets killed. And Holden does say after the fact, they're probably going to kill him anyway and take the ship. Yeah. And at least now they only killed 1. But do we know that? Do we know that to be true? Because they seem to understand that they get robbed all the time.
Well, but no, the guys this time, they expected to be robbed a little bit. But this time the guy says, we're taking the ship.
Right.
Once they had lifted off and gotten away, there would be no reason to keep those people on board anymore. So they would probably have wound up getting spaced. So so I think Holden is right that if 2 of you guys had not gone back to help them, they would have both wound up dead and the ship would have been stolen.
There is that little moment, a little pause where we come in and we kill those guys, and then we see that her husband got shot. She's screaming and she's like, "Get the fuck off my ship!" And it's telling us, and there's a little bit of like holding out. Amos are like, oh, oh fuck, and we walk out, and then Holden. It could have went the other way where Holden's like, they probably would have died anyway, so we did them a favor. We did a good thing just to clear it off the conscience. So Bobbie arrives at Earth, and they kind of go through the protocol to prepare her body with the bone density medications and kind of give her an idea of what she's going to expect once she gets to Earth. Now, my question is this something, did you learn this? Is that an actual protocol, like of astronauts that have been in space, or is this something that you guys made up, or where did you get the information for that?
Yeah, I mean, it is something that we made up. The reality is that we've never had an astronaut in space so long that they couldn't come back to Earth. We've had some that were up long enough that when they came back, it was difficult, and they'd had muscular degeneration, and they'd had bone loss and density loss and that kind of stuff. But just a few months of exercise and diet in gravity, basically they'll recover. The idea being that, Martians who have spent their entire lives in 1/3 gravity, it's a much more traumatic experience for them. But we also do say, though, that like the military, all the Martian military regularly trains at 1G in the event that there's ever an invasion of Earth. So the Marines and naval personnel that are going down to the planet have spent enough time at 1G that they're not totally unprepared. But the idea is that this pharmacology, these drugs that they're going to take, are going to prepare them to stay down there for an extended period of time, much longer than they would have experienced before.
But what would happen if a group of Marines went to Earth? How long would it take them where they could function like a normal Earther? Would it take them 3 months, 6 months to where they could do everything, lung capacity?
We don't really have any way to know that. It's never happened before. I mean, part of what we try to show in season 4 with Naomi is the way in which that process fails. When Naomi goes to Illis and her cardiovascular system just can't keep up, and she winds up having to go back up into orbit so she doesn't die. We never actually did this in the books or the show, but I'm certain some percentage of the Marines would have that same syndrome where their bodies just couldn't keep up and they would wind up having to.
Didn't Bobbie stay on Earth with Avasarala, and then it stopped? It started being normal for her.
Yeah.
So that's what I was asking. Is like, how long did it take Bobbie?
I don't know.
I want like the exact day count and hour count to where she felt completely. No, I'm just kidding.
24.7 days.
So Mars wants her to tell that bullshit story. They're trying to avoid war. She leaves the Purple Heart behind, which is signifying that she's starting to lose faith in the Martian government and the one thing that she's given her life to. And as she tells her story, what really shakes her and pisses her off is that the one guy who's an earther, who's had to fight his way through that, we had that moment where Travis, Bobbie's a Marine. Travis served under her. She has an incredible amount of love and loyalty for him, and he fought bravely alongside her. So this is a real dilemma for her. This is a real conflict for her that they're positioning him in this way to be the scapegoat, and she really struggles with it. Well, Avasarala picks up on it, and by the way, is the highlight of this episode. She is awesome in this episode, and she sits back and she's listening through the whole thing. And then she decides she has a few questions for Bobbie, and she's pushing her. And you think Bobbie's shaking. You think that she's not going to be able to sustain this lie about somebody that she served with. And the one guy steps in and she goes, "Whoever the fuck you are, let me ask my questions," or whatever. And then he goes, "Where are you going with this?" She goes, "Wherever I goddamn like." Just fucking great moments and great scenes, and just her really flexing her muscles. That scene kind of reminded me, Biden met with Putin, and these kind of like heads of state that are meeting and they're feeling each other out. And I wonder what Avasarala would be like if she met with Putin, like how that meeting would go.
She's pretty ferocious.
Yeah.
So I think she would call him on his bullshit.
And she's pretty damn sharp. So yeah, that'd be really interesting. But Bobbie is shaken, but she has the discipline to be able to stay the course, toe the company line, and she does it, but it's killing her inside. And you see this killing her inside, and Avasarala sees this killing her inside.
And we needed her to be at a real emotional crossroads because she makes some pretty dramatic decisions later because of this. So it has to be a real emotional struggle for her, or I don't think it justifies the decisions that she makes.
Right. In the meantime, her inside guy, Janice, is getting to Venus. And some mysterious shit's happen. Number one, there's a stealth ship that's mimicking their moves, that's kind of shadowing them. But when they get to Venus, they see that there's actual life on Venus, which normally couldn't be sustained. Explain to me the Drake equation. And is this a real thing? And
it is a real thing. So it's complete conjecture. But what it is an equation that says there are this many galaxies in the universe. Each galaxy has this many stars. Each star, some percentage of stars have planets. Some percentage of those planets are in the Goldilocks zone, which is the zone where there's like air and water. And basically just runs through all the numbers of potential planets with life on them. And it's basically a way of saying, even if the percentage chance that life begins is astronomically low, the numbers of planets are so high that it has to exist in some percentage of those planets. Right. Basically, it's saying like there has to be a lot of life in the universe, if all those numbers are true. But I mean, it's total conjecture. We have no idea what the percentage chance that life arises on a planet. We have no idea what that percentage is. So the variable in the equation is a number we don't know. So what Iturbe is saying is, I don't believe that we're the only life form in the universe, and I think this is a life form. Is the point he's making?
Right. I'm just so impressed with Drake. He's this great musician, and he writes all these crazy rhymes. And he's just phenomenal. And then he comes up with this crazy equation. I'm a bigger fan of him now. And we work in Toronto and we work in his city, and so Drake can just do no wrong. In my thing.
See, I'm much more into old school hip hop. I'm not a big Drake fan, but I do like his equation though. I think the Drake equation.
Tell
is
me
his
another
best
musician that could come up with an equation like that.
Chuck D.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Point taken. Was I getting his name wrong? So is Janice the other guy?
Yeah, no, Iturbe is the one that was hitting on Avasarala, and Janice is the other guy.
He's kind of a hound dog because he was hitting on the young girl on this ship.
Oh, he's a hound. Yeah,
kind of a hound dog.
Well, he's one of those handsome Australian guys.
And he's a good actor. And he does.
He actually. I really liked his performance in the show a lot. I thought I was really sad when we killed him. Spoiler alert.
Does he live in Canada?
Yeah, he is local. I'm pretty sure he's local Canadian. He's actually Australian, but I think he lives in Canada.
I never understand how somebody could come from a tropical climate and go to a cold climate.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, so I thought what would be fun for our list today because when they go back on the Somnambulist and they're getting robbed, I didn't like those people. You know, and I know that people are robbing innocent people. You're not going to like them, but I especially didn't like them. The way that they were bullying, the way that they were, you know, treating them. And when they came and got blasted, I loved it. I loved that scene. And it made me think about scenes like that in movies that that I love, where either a bully or somebody you really don't like, you know, gets it and gets humiliated or gets whatever, gets killed or whatever. And like, to give an example, which I know that you and I are probably going to be, we're going to have the same number one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's no question.
There's no question. But I'll go through some of the other ones. So Billy Bob Thornton in Tombstone.
So great.
So good.
Yeah.
When he's playing poker with and he's just punking everybody around him, and he's like, it's like playing with my sister's kids or something. And then Kurt Russell just comes and punks him in the best way. He's just humiliated. He's like,
he smacks the shit out of him, and then you're like, you going to throw down, or you just going to stand there and bleed?
You're going to stand there and bleed. And and his lips quivering and blood's coming down his lip. So then Kurt and his boys, are out there. Doc Holliday and Sam Elliott, and they're all hanging out in the street. And he goes against his
Johnny Tyler. Where you going with that?
He goes against the sawed-off shotgun, and he's going to get his revenge. And he's rolling up, and Doc sees the Kurt and goes, "Oh, Johnny Tyler!" And he goes, "Doc, I didn't know you were in town." And then they didn't even pay attention to him, and they just continue.
No.
Continue the conversation.
You may go. Leave the shotgun.
And then they notice him.
And he just puts it down and leaves.
They notice him, and they're like, oh, you may go. And then leave the shotgun. And he leaves the shotgun. It's just great. It's great. The fact that they didn't even acknowledge him, and he was just standing there while they had their conversation. He's still holding the shotgun.
I have actually used that line, and unfortunately the person didn't get the reference, but somebody was talking a bunch of shit, and I have actually used the line, "Boy, you run your mouth awful reckless for a man don't go healed."
Oh, shit. Gene Hackman, Mississippi Burning. That scene where he's in that Klan meeting house, and he's talking shit with the sheriff, and then he reaches over and grabs his balls, and he squeezes them, and the guy's like can't breathe or whatever, and he basically punks the whole room of all the racists in there. That was fucking awesome.
Well, that one's good, but there's also the great one where they bring the guy in and the black agent threatens to cut his balls off.
Yeah.
But he puts the Dixie cup on the table and goes, "I'm going to put your balls in that cup." Yeah. You ever seen how much a man bleeds when you cut off his scrotum?
I forgot about it. I haven't seen that movie in so long. Fred O'Banion in Dazed and Confused. Ben Affleck in Dazed and Confused when he was putting him against the wall and they dump paint on him. But the funniest part is when they dump paint on him and they're going, and then he goes to his car and he trips and he gets so mad and he slams this thing and it breaks, and then he gets in his car, but he's getting paint on his car. Oh, that was funny. Regina George being hit by a bus in Mean Girls. Because
I've never seen Mean Girls.
Oh,
so I don't know that
you'd love Mean Girls. Mean Girls is a really good movie. It's a really fun movie, but Regina George is the only one doesn't have the redemption at the end. She doesn't have the arc at the end, and spoiler alert for anybody watching this, and she still hangs on to this meanness and to this like being a bully, and she's walking the street, and she's like, as she's doing it, she's getting her last ends, like cussing her out, and all of a sudden, boom, a bus just and like just takes her out, and it's really funny how that happens. I mean, because she's okay, she doesn't die, so it hits her, she's just in the hospital bed. Good Will Hunting, the scene when they're at the bar.
Oh, the how do you like them apples?
The smart hobbit. I love that scene.
I'm surprised you haven't done the what's his face in Ghostbusters, who gets the giant glob of Marshmallow Man dropped on him at the end.
That guy's a great bad guy. His best bad guy, which isn't, I'm going to put it on the list now. It wasn't on the list, but Real Genius when they turn his house into popcorn.
That is a very good one. But that guy also in Real Genius must be a badass, because when Val Kilmer asks his girlfriend if he can see her, and she says, "Can you drive a 16-penny nail through a 2x4 with your dick?" Not right now. And I'm like, whoa, can the professor do that? Because that professor, I'm impressed now. That professor's a badass.
I don't think that's the case. But so I went to the New Beverly, and they did a screening of Real Genius, and the director was there and did a Q&A after. she said, it was one of those things where we didn't know what we had until we edited it. She goes, because he was not funny in the moment or in the scene, but when we went and edited it, he's like, he just came alive. And it was this thing. And I was like, wow, because I thought he'd just be cutting up the whole time. She goes, he's actually very serious. And he wasn't. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting.
Well, he plays that character very laconic and kind of understated, which, in the moment isn't going to be funny, but when you get the timing right in the edit is always
also
very
too
funny.
when people are performing for the camera, it's a lot, and then somebody's watching it off. They're not getting the whole performance that the camera is getting, so they understand the subtlety that the camera picks up.
What you're saying is a thing I did not know about before I started working on this show, but in season 1, if you watch Thomas Jane on set, he doesn't look like he's doing anything. Then you watch the dailies, and he has an awareness of where that camera is all the time. And everything he's doing is for the camera. And so if you're standing 3 feet away on set, you don't see anything. You don't see it happen.
And sometimes a producer or somebody on set will come give a note. They give a note through the director, and the director comes up, and the note is, you're like, oh, that's there. They'll see it in playback. Play it back, and they'll see it. It's just they don't, you don't see it from 10 feet away, but if you watch the camera, it's there. There's a subtlety. And the reality is, too, is a gesture when you're in close or when you're in a medium or a wide, you do the same gesture, but over time, you understand what's going to be picked up on the close, what's going to be picked up on the other, and what's going to be picked up on the wide. This is one of my favorites. Seabass on Dumb and Dumber.
See, you love Dumb and Dumber way more than I do. That's not a movie that I love.
Put them there. When they're like, Seabass will pay for it, they look, and then Seabass points like this, like, for the beers or whatever. That is so funny. And then I wonder what happened in the bathroom when Seabass finds him later. Do you remember that? You remember when Seabass finds him randomly in a truck stop, and he
I've only seen that movie once, and it was a long time ago. I don't have the memory for it. I think this is probably
the biggest divide in our relationship.
Yeah, it is. It is.
In Spider-Man, when Peter Parker beat up the high school bullies, that was a fun scene. Danielson doing the turning the water on the skeletons, the Cobra Kai skeletons. And then the skeletons getting fucked up by Mr. Miyagi in that movie. And the nostalgia of Karate Kid has a lot of stuff has come out, the Cobra Kai TV shows and all those things.
Yep.
It's hard to explain to somebody the magic when you're a kid going to see Karate Kid in a movie theater for the first time, how that movie just strikes every chord. It's just, and then you walk out of there, the movie theater, and like, I think I could fuck anybody up.
Oh yeah, every kid who watched that movie walked out and they thought they knew karate. I wonder how many fights in school, were like, I wonder how many dreams were crushed where somebody thought they knew karate and got their ass handed to them from the William Zapta of their school, and they're like, I fucking saw them. I should have been able to do that. I have to think more than one kid tried to do that crane kick in the schoolyard and got wrecked.
There's been there's plenty of those. Plenty of those. Oh, this is one of my favorites. Carrie.
You mean the entire last 20 minutes of the movie where she just murders everyone?
And it's like it's set up to the perfect tension. Like, they've been so mean to her, and she's been through all of this stuff, and then finally she gets this glimpse of kindness, and you see her light up in this moment of finally being accepted, and she's starting to find herself, and she used her power to keep her mother out of her business or whatever, and then they poured pig's blood on her, and she commits to murdering every motherfucker in that town, and it was such a great payoff. Such a great payoff. Oh, A Christmas Story. Remember when he's beating the shit out of that bully? Yeah.
Yes, I love that scene. Yeah. I love that scene. Yeah. When he's just screaming curse words, just pounding because and they show all the kids around, and
then the bully leans up,
he just cuts it up his storm,
and he has blood coming down his nose. I love that thing. Weird Science, when they turn Chet into a turd. Dude, Weird Science, not many movies make me laugh as much as Weird Science, and not a lot of people make me laugh as much as Chet.
There's something about when he's the turd monster and he goes, Wyatt, I'm sorry. Something about that makes me laugh so hard every time I see it.
You're stewed, buttwad. You two douchebags couldn't get laid in the morgue. How about a nice greasy pork sandwich on a dirty ashtray? I love that movie. For God's sakes, would you cover yourself? My favorite part is when she goes, when she tells him that those are missiles in the bedroom, and he goes, well, I didn't think it was a whale stick, honey. Oh man, I love Bill Paxton. Shout out to Bill Paxton, man. He's brought me so much joy. And I've seen, Weird Science 475 times, and he kills me in that movie. He's just so funny in that.
And he is a very funny guy. When he turns on the charm, he's incredibly funny. And I got to tell you, shout out to you, man, because you've done a pretty good Billy Bob Thornton impression, and now you just did a pretty good Chet impression. Your impression game is pretty good, man.
That made me think of another Bill Paxton movie, which would also be in this category, in True Lies. Yeah.
Oh, with like your program of terrorism is well known. Oh yeah.
And then he has and then he's talking about his wife when he's sitting right next to him. Oh man, that's so funny.
Yep.
And then they
she could start a leaf blower.
Make you want to get on your knees and beg for buttermilk.
Yeah.
Oh, this is another Stephen King. Shout out to Stephen King. Big fan of this podcast. Maybe one day we'll have him on. We're good friends. I don't know if you knew that, Ty. Yeah, great friends.
I did not know that.
We bat around ideas all the time. So Ace Merle in Stand By Me. And at the end, because sometimes with bullies like that, it's so much about their reputation and having a certain image around the guys that are around him. And he doesn't really exist in the way that he thinks he exists, or his friends see that he exists. And at the end, when they pull the gun on him and they punk him, and then you kind of really see who he is, and then he's like, I'm going to get you for this. But he leaves. He fucking leaves. And you see those kids get the power, and that's just a great scene.
It's got great foreshadowing in the story that the one kid tells about the fat kid at the eating contest.
Right.
Who gets revenge on the town.
Right. See, I didn't talk to Steven about this idea, and so I'm kind of curious about it. But what kind of an idea is that? Thinking of this fat kid in town. You listen to that story and you watch that story, and it's just so unique. It doesn't go in. It's like, wait a minute. So to get revenge, he drinks kerosene or whatever and eats breaks an egg in his mouth, and then he goes and eats all this blueberry pie, which makes him throw up on all the town, and then they all throw up on each other. But it's perfect in the mentality of the kids. Like, they love throw up. They think that's hilarious and that's funny, and they would really be into that. Oh, you gotta throw Biff from Back to the Future when he gets dog shit in his car, or when what's his name knocks him out at the end. That's awesome. Heathers, all those bullies, they get a lot. They get theirs in the end, but I don't really know the specific scene. Oh, Bad Santa.
Now, in Bad Santa, are you talking about when he beats up the kids?
Dude,
oh my God, that's so funny.
Saw that. And it just cuts to him just smashing that dude in the face, and he's hitting him like a man. Oh, that's so funny.
You know what, though? Like, it's funny because we all wish we could do that. There's that really rotten kid who's super mean to your kid and pushes him around. And he's just like a rotten little bully that just like bullies all the other kids in the neighborhood. And you just really wish you lived in a reality where you could just walk up to that kid and go, you're just a kid. You shouldn't act like you're tough. And you just punch him in the face as hard as you can. Like, we all wish we lived there. We don't. Yeah. Obviously, you can't punch kids. Please don't punch any kids.
Ty is not.
We all kind of wish
endorsing or condoning people punching kids. That's you should not punch kids.
You should not punch kids. Nobody should punch a kid.
Well, actually, you did a whole podcast about fucking up the kids from Children of the Corn.
Hey, you know what though? They're little murderer kids. They crossed the line.
Yeah,
once you cross that line.
Well, what is the line that a kid crosses where it's okay to punch a kid?
If the kid is trying to stab my wife with a knife, all bets are off.
But what if he hasn't stabbed you? Like, what if you don't know if he's going to or not?
Like, if he has a knife and he's trying to stab her, he's coming at her like he's going to stab her, all bets are off.
What if he's trying to stab you?
All bets are off.
Okay. What if he's egging your house?
I'm not going to punch a kid who's egging my house.
Yeah, that's a good call. All right, did I miss any? But I will say, which we both agree, the number one bully bully movie is what, Ty?
It's Die Hard.
It's fucking Die Hard.
It's Die Hard.
No question.
Yes.
When Ellis gets shot in the face.
Fuck you.
For trying to play the big man after he was hitting on McClane's wife and trying to get her to drink mulled wine and eat brie with him by a roaring fire, even knowing she's married. And when he's trying to fuck McClane over by like telling the bad guy who he is and fucking up his whole plan, and then Hans Gruber shoots him in the face, fucking had it coming.
That's sound logic. Like even Clint can't argue with that.
Yeah, you cannot deny that logic.
I know you guys are just baiting me, but it still makes me mad because I have a lot of thoughts about this category. I think once again your thinking has been
well. Then let's
flawed,
talk about it.
And I'm here to fix
what's
it.
wrong. What's wrong with the category?
Here's the thing: the issue with comeuppance is you have to hate the person.
You're saying we don't hate Ellis?
Everybody hates Ellis.
Ellis is annoying, but like you don't want Ellis to get shot in the face.
You like
right?
Ellis? Like you're the one person that's a fan of your team Ellis?
Here's the thing: Ellis parties, so he's immediately cool.
Yeah.
Right. I have the advantage of listening to you guys give wrong answers, so I get to come in and say, Little Bill getting killed in Unforgiven.
That's a good one.
You know what?
You know
I
what?
can't believe I forgot that one.
Clint. All right, you can stop now, Clint, because you just won. Clint is right, 100% right.
He's not right about Die Hard, but he's
100% right about Unforgiven.
Yes, he's 100% like that.
Yeah.
And also when you're doing the, I mean, like. I'm sure there's a ton more that we're going to hear about that we missed. You can't do this, but shame on me for leaving out one of the greatest westerns ever made, and also one of the greatest comeuppance moments and scenes in there, and that's when Gene Hackman gets it in Unforgiven.
I would add to that, as long as we're on a Clint Eastwood thing here, the moment when the colonel of the Redlegs Regiment gets stabbed in the stomach with a saber in Outlaw Josie Webb.
Yeah.
That guy had it coming.
Also,
because that's the thing. You have to hate the person so much that no matter what happens to them, you celebrate.
Well, that dude murdered Josie's wife and children.
Yeah.
So he had it coming.
Yeah. But also when I think it was Pell Rider when Clint Eastwood, or Hang 'em High, when he comes back from the dead and he gets all the people that tortured him and killed him. That was a good one.
Clint did a lot of revenge movies.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever see Liam Neeson movie Rob Roy?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I love Rob Roy. And when he hacks Tim Roth in half,
it's the best.
It's the best. It's the best. That one belongs on the list, dude. Rob Roy belongs on the list.
Because you hate Tim Roth so fucking much.
Yeah.
I love So that one, Rob Roy, is going to be on the list.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson in Django Unchained. You hate him, and when he's getting shot in the kneecaps, it's a room full of people clapping for an elderly man being shot in the kneecaps. That's how much they hate him.
I'm not sure if I was happier when he was awful, and I was glad when he got shot. But I'm not sure if I was happier about him getting shot or about Walton Goggins getting shot in the dick. Because Walton Goggins had just had his hands on Django's balls and with a red hot knife and was threatening to cut them off. Now, would you include in that list Paul Reiser in Aliens when he opens the door and after locking the rest of the group in with the aliens?
But that's just a villain, not a bully.
Well, I'm Team Burke in this instance. I like Burke.
I got the movie that needs to go on this list. Swimming with Sharks.
Oh, that's pretty good comeuppance.
Kevin Spacey he is the biggest asshole bully, and he gets his comeuppance.
Also, he's based on a real guy who didn't get his comeuppance for 30 more years.
You guys haven't seen that movie?
I don't know that one.
Oh,
yeah.
Classic.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
But Unforgiven won, and that's all I care about. Okay. Yeah. Good show, guys.
Good show, guys.
So what's your top five, Wes?
Die Hard, Unforgiven.
Unforgiven, yep, should be on there.
Carrie.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure, Bill Paxton and Weird Science. Where are we at? That 4?
Yeah. I think for pure satisfaction, my vote is going to be with Clint on Rob Roy because Tim Roth
Rob
character,
Roy. That's
you
good.
hate him so much by the time you get to the end that watching him get cut in half is just
so good. You know,
it's so satisfying.
Rob
Yeah.
Roy was such a great movie. It didn't get noticed a lot, and I think it's because it came out right when Braveheart came out.
I think people watched it and it wasn't Braveheart,
Yeah,
and so they didn't like it as much. Yeah.
but it's a great movie. All right, well, thank you guys for hanging out with us, and this was a good time. Please like and subscribe and do all the things and support us, and we got some special stuff coming up for you guys. Say goodbye, Ty.
Goodbye, Ty.